Ta-da!
Sweet. All right. Well, we'll open with we'll do our pitches, and then I'll ask you about the book, and then you can just tell me what you think. Does that work?
That works. And yeah, if you want to share, if you have any news to share, you can share it. If not, that's fine. It's totally up to you.
Cool. Yeah, I guess for the book club, for all the crew out there, I just got married, so really excited. Mom came down to Vegas, and John was here too, and
Yay.
all of Sheena's family and friends, and my family and friends. It was great. It wasn't like a big to do, just due to the COVID situation, but we got everybody that we could together, and everybody who made it was happy they went, from what I could tell. So it was great. There's a brand new Gaminol, so
yep.
I'm pretty excited.
Very, very thrilled to have Sheena as part of the family and Sheena's family as part of the family, and we couldn't have asked for a better situation. So yeah, and it was a beautiful wedding, and everybody cried, and it was wonderful. So we're glad to be here in Las Vegas, and I'm in my fabulous hotel room, and Mickey's in his fabulous new home in Las Vegas. So
yeah, we were gonna meet together, but in-laws just left, and ins and outs and all sorts of stuff. New house to begin with, so this works out better for now. But one day we'll have you over for a book club. For sure.
Fantastic. That sounds like fun. We'll have to make a big deal out of it. It'll be fun.
Cool. So my name is Mickey Gaminol. I am the owner. I think my Facebook says I am the head chef at Gaminol Tutors. So serving up knowledge for all those who need it. We do ASVAB preparation right now, and we just started our September class. Next month's going to be October. We're really excited for each new month. We're growing, and it's getting better. So it's been great. But if you know anybody who's joining the military and wants to do so at a high level, anybody, whether they passed or failed the ASVAB, I think they could benefit from either directly enrolling in my program or looking at some of my free products. There's a lot of stuff out there just to help as many people as possible. So Gaminol Tutors for all your ASVAB needs.
Fantastic. And I think even if someone feels pretty comfortable about the ASVAB, they would really benefit from your program because of the mentorship. And I mean, just even talking to somebody who is outside of their own program that has been through boot camp and has been through OCS and those things, and, can kind of give people an idea of what to expect. I think they would benefit from it, even from that perspective, much less, getting a better score on the ASVAB is a wonderful thing as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the things that people think is they're like, oh, I have a recruiter. My recruiter will answer all my questions. And the recruiter will. I mean, they get paid to answer your questions. However, the recruiter, the ER and recruiter is because of what they do. What their verb is to recruit. Right. So their main agenda is pretty upfront. It's going to be to recruit you. Whereas if you talk to somebody who's already in, whether, you want to talk about what happens at basic training or something like that, that you'll have a little less bias. I mean, I love the Army. I'm still happy to be in and everything like that, but I have no interest in letting anybody into the Army who doesn't want to be there, because it's pretty bad news if you get stuck in something you don't want to be in. So, yeah, I'm happy to be that unbiased advisor or whatever you guys need.
Right, exactly, because you work for them, not for the Army. So.
Exactly, and not in this capacity, right? Gaminol Tutors is completely unaffiliated with the United States Army. Fantastic. Does not represent the views and opinions. So
right, exactly. So preparation is important. So I'm Paula Williams. I am Mickey's mom, and I am also the president of ABCI. ABCI is Aviation Business Consultants International, and we do marketing for aviation companies. Our mission is to help aviation companies sell more of their products and services, which is really important nowadays because the economy stinks. Well, stinks is an interesting word. What's a good economy for some people is a bad economy for others. But everybody is going through some stuff with the COVID situation and other things like that, and they're having to adjust their products and services, and they're certainly having to adjust their marketing so that, if they used to do all of the trade shows and all of the magazines and things like that, that's not working for you anymore. In 2020, everything has changed. And so a lot of aviation companies are having to adapt to a more digital model, improve their websites, their social, and other kinds of things like that. So that's where we come in. And we also do sales training for aviation professionals, brokers, and others who need to learn how to sell for maybe the first time in their life, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
There's been a lot of shakeup. I would imagine, particularly with the aviation industry, that you're going to find out who exactly is, who does what, and have to reevaluate those roles quite a bit.
Right. What they said during the last recession is you can separate the good companies from the bad, because a bad company can survive in good times, but only the good companies would survive the last recession. And then we're going through that again now, I think. There have been a lot of fun ideas come up in aviation, that have been good, bad, and weird ideas. Some of which were successful and some of which were not. But this is really what separates the good ideas from the not so good ideas.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Going to the Army right now, when I go to drill, and it's National Guard, so we only work 2 weeks out of the year, 1 weekend a month, so not super regularly. But essentially, COVID gave everybody who doesn't want to show up to drill an out. You can just say that, oh, I've been around somebody who sneezed once, and then poof, you don't have to go to work. And I think that's the case with almost all jobs right now. Anybody you see at work, even if they say that they hate their job right now, that they like it enough not to get out of it. Or maybe they like hating it enough to show up. Either way, they're going to work in spite of opportunity not to. That's for sure.
Right, exactly. So everybody you see in a restaurant or a hotel or anywhere else, you need to respect the fact that they're doing probably more work than they ever have, under stranger circumstances than they ever have, and adapting to rules that they've never had to deal with before. So it's time to break out the flexibility and the compassion, I guess, for people who are working.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wish. This is where the hazard pay argument comes up, and I know in aviation it's classically like, oh, I don't know if we should give everybody hazard pay. Then who makes money? Where's the money going to go? But at the same time, yeah, people who are showing up to work today are pretty committed employees. These are people who will go the extra mile. So
right, that's for sure. Great. Well, this week's book, The Marketing Book by Jason McDonald. How some of the books that we have talked about this year, in fact, most of the books that we've talked about this year, we've said, this should not be the first book that you read about sales and marketing, because they were so challenging or so complex or so specific about one thing or another. This is the opposite. This is actually a pretty good entry-level marketing book, that gives a pretty good overview of what marketing is and what it does and everything else. The only problem I have with it, is mainly from an aviation perspective, and that is, this is assuming, for the most part, business to consumer retail marketing. It assumes you're selling Coke or Pepsi or bubblegum or some other product, and to a consumer, which you are doing, Nikki, because you're selling to end students, end product users.
Yeah. So you think that it doesn't talk enough about like a business to business sales?
Yeah, they have one chapter that says, here's business to business, here's business to government, here's business to consumer, and then the rest of the book, it kind of throws the other ideas out the window and just talks about business to consumer. That's just like, selling charter flights or courses or something along those lines. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like particularly with me, for my business, and I think for anybody who gets into business, I don't know if everybody has the same motivations I do. I know one day I want to, and I don't know if this will ever come, but you sell out and move to Mexico, right? You sell your business for that ridiculous amount of money, and then you go sip Mai Tais for the rest of your days, like Ocean's 11 style. but I don't know if that's what everybody typically wants. Um, but yeah, I mean, to get your start, to get to that point where you can sell off, or do more business to business work, I feel like you need to have that consumer to business foundation. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Although I do think, most of the college courses and, textbooks and everything else are kind of assuming a business to consumer foundation. So almost everybody that comes into marketing from an academic point of view um, learns that first, but I don't think you have to learn that first. You know what I mean? I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that fall into marketing from finance or from business or from being a pilot or from being a tech and then suddenly deciding they need to sell something and then they learn it from being thrown in the fire. Those
Mhm.
people will start with business to business or business to government. And they do just fine, other than the fact that they shouldn't be taking books like this too seriously and they shouldn't be taking they shouldn't be taking college courses and expecting to apply what works for Coke or Pepsi to what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely a three-step ahead feeling, I think. If you're selling to a business or to the government, like I think you're further along in the lifeline. But I don't know if that's necessarily true. I mean, I think especially with COVID, if anything, we're kind of reshaping the lifeline or the walk, crawl, run
Yeah.
kind of progression of how business is done.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and
Um,
I mean, the business to government section is really short for a good reason, and that's because if you're selling to the government, there's a specific process you go through. They do an RFP, you respond to the RFP. It's a very regimented process, and you really
mhm.
can't. I mean, the purpose of that is to not have people marketing to the government. I mean, that's the perception, is that nobody actually markets to the government. They just do an RFP and they get what they want without having people lobby them or market to them because that just looks bad. Um, so, if you were to sell your courses to the government, in some way in the future at some point, it would probably be something like that type of negotiation where you would they would need something, you would respond to it and say, here's a solution to this problem, and then you would fit your solution into their RFP process. So business to government is almost not even marketing. It's really just selling, direct sales, person to person.
Wow.
Yeah, so you
So
can
what is an RFP? Can you break that down a little bit?
request for proposal.
Okay. And have you done any government work, or have you helped a client to get government work?
We've had a couple of clients that specialized in government work, and John's done government work with a couple of companies that he's done with AMMS and some others, but he's not on today's call, so we can't ask him. But we kind of got out of that business because it is so different from regular marketing, if we call that regular marketing. But yeah, it's almost exactly a sales process where somebody decides this would be a really great idea. We need to get somebody to do this, and so you and some government official would come to that conclusion, and then the paperwork is almost, let's make this fit. So we have X
Wow.
amount of budget. So you have X amount of thing that you want to provide. Let's figure out if we can write an RFP in response to the RFP that satisfies all of the boxes. Checks off all the boxes for all of the different checks and balances in the government process, and then they would contract with you for your service.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, that makes sense because, of course, if everybody's like, oh, anti-lobbyist, anti-lobbyist. But if you saw a Pepsi commercial that sold only to Congress members, everybody would be like, well, what
Whoa.
the heck?
Right. That is such cheese. But yeah, that would be incredibly inefficient, and also it would look bad. So that is done in a completely different way, and you really can't advertise a service to government. That's a totally different process. You can make it available. So some of the things in the book, like if a government employee is looking for a particular product and service, you want to be the first one that shows up on search engine results for that. So
Right.
they will find you and they will contact you and then take it from there. So as an example, TriSoft covers, we'll give them a shout out. They have these red cylindrical edge covers for F-16s, F-35s, any aircraft that ever existed. And so, one of their clients is the U.S. government, because they buy these things for aircraft in the hangars to keep them from getting hangar rash or having people walk into a sharp point on an aircraft while it's in the hangar. Excuse. So the process for that is someone in the government will look up, I need F-16 bumper covers or, something along those lines. And Joe Garland, TriSoft cover, shows up pretty close to first on the list, if not first on the list, for that specific item. So then he gets a phone call, and then they have that conversation. They figure out what they need to do to make that work. So that's a B2G, business to government, sales process.
Huh. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then the business to consumer is what you're doing, where you're selling directly to a consumer. Although you do have some business to government as well, where you're talking with recruiters and other folks, as influencers, and talking about how to help them do their job better by getting you in touch with students you can help in order to help them do their job. So you're doing, right?
Yeah. No, I do. I speak with I speak with recruiters pretty regularly. Yeah, I talk to 3 to 5 recruiters, and I'm trying to up it to more per week. Just because, like you say, they have so much influence, and there's a couple like recruiter YouTube stars out there. It's kind of a weird underground world, but a lot of people have questions about, going to basic training and stuff like that. So they YouTube it, and there's a bit of competition for who is the Army YouTube star and who is the Navy YouTube star. So it's kind of cool to see that these, that is such a foreign job position to a recruiter who would have been alive 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, the best recruiter 50 years ago was the guy who showed up to schools and got the most kids to sign up. But now, you're taking into account how many followers they have or how much media they have when considering, who's the best recruiter. And a lot of these guys are just social media stars. It's really, really impressive. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Well, I think almost all of our clients could benefit from becoming YouTube stars if they have the proclivity to do that, and if they're willing and able to make that happen for whatever their specialty is. And you could be the YouTube star of ASVAB. Who knew?
Yeah. Well, there's competition for that too. So I'm trying. I'm in contact with the people who are better than me, which is a good place to be.
Yeah.
And we are all buddy.
Yeah.
So.
And it sounds like it's a really weird little small world, and most niches are, where they have just a few people, and you should know, I guess, who in your niche is the top 10 or the top 5 YouTube stars and bloggers and podcasters and things like that, and get to know them, because there's usually plenty of business to go around. It's just a matter of talking each other up and figuring out what everybody's specialty is, so that you're giving each other the kind of work that you want. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I should probably try to reach out to them too. I think that is something that goes overlooked in most business, is you get caught up in reaching out to consumers and pounding the pavement, going door to door, when there are natural flows of your ideal client out there, and they look in the same place for a reason. It's because they're looking for what you have. So that's but it's really tough to conceptualize. Like, especially for me, I really struggle with getting out of my shoes and into somebody else's, particularly an 18-year-old. Because when I was 18, I just wouldn't spend on my future. I would spend thousands of dollars at college, but that's because it's just expected. So it's crazy to think about now, what the mentality was, what the paradigm was, and how you want to shift that, So I'm sure many of you guys who have your own businesses, you create great products, and it's like, why don't they realize how great this product is?
Right?
Because 9 times out of 10, it's well worth the money. You're not hustlers and peddlers. You're people who are trying to make a positive difference. You want people to come away from working with you happy,
Yeah.
and that's usually a good sign. That's usually the only sign you need to know that your business is worthwhile at the end of the day.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And there's everybody got into business to solve a problem, most likely because there was something that needed to be solved. And but everybody is also competing against the status quo because everybody is living without your product right now, and you want them to change their behavior to use your product or service. So it is the easiest thing in the world to stay where you are. It is the hardest thing in the world to get somebody to do something different than what they're doing. So people underestimate the difficulty of that inertia, breaking that inertia all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you really are someone who's inventing a new method of swimming that just doesn't make sense to anybody. Like, they're like, why would you do it like that?
Right.
And you have to build everything around. Oh, it's a good idea to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. What else? What did you like from the book besides that? Were there any good major chapter highlights or anything?
Yeah. I think probably my favorite chapter was section 3, how to make yourself easy to find. And actually it was a set of chapters about the 5 discovery paths. And I think he did a really good job of explaining the 5 discovery paths, meaning the 5 ways that people find you for the first time. 1 is search. 2 is reviews. 3 is EWAM, or word of mouth, or electronic word of mouth, meaning somebody shared something or an influencer shared something. Number 16 is interruption or advertising, meaning you actually stuck something into their Facebook role or into their stream of consciousness or into their TV program or whatever. So you interrupted their something that they were watching. Number 4 is browse. No, that's number 5. Sorry. Number 5 is browse. So the power of being next to something that they're looking for at the time that they're looking for it. So search is pretty simple. That's search engine optimization, or being the one on YouTube that everybody looks for ASVAB, as an example.
Yeah.
So search is pretty simple. Reviews are getting more and more important, and there's also a lot of effort to make them a lot more credible than they have been in the past. There's been a lot in the news about fake reviews on Amazon and other things, and so they're cracking down and deleting reviews like nobody's business if people are getting them in ways that are unscrupulous.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I got some tea the other day, and it said you have to leave us a 5-star review, and we'll send you another pack or another full product.
Yeah,
and it's like, geez, I guess it's 200% of the value. If you leave a 5-star review, then that's definitely a great product. But who really knows?
mm-hmm.
And so, that 5-star spot is really highly coveted, and as well it should be.
Right, but giving people, compensating people for reviews is kind of the problem that they're having. Either by sending them more product or by giving them any kind of compensation for, and it doesn't matter. If you ask for a review, you're probably going to get a good one. So they're kind of becoming more specific about the ways that you can ask for reviews, and whether or not you can reward people for reviews. You can certainly ask, but whether you can reward them for it really depends on the platform, and really depends on whether or not you get reported by your competition or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right.
Everybody has a seat at the table now. There's all sorts of, this is fair, this is unfair, and then you gotta battle that.
Right. And then influencers or EWAM or word of mouth. that would be like your recruiters. Tanis Aircraft Products has Michael Wiskus. He's an air show guy, one of the aerobatics superstars. And, so if you're in the aerobatics world, Mike Wiskus. He's, this really, he's a rock star and things like that. And he has the Lucas Oil, and he's got the Tanis aircraft covers on his plane. So, that would be an example of how that works. And that's can be really, really effective. There's a guy in one of our mastermind groups that ran the website, findanycelebrity.com. And basically it gets you in touch with their agents and everything else. And a lot of them are less expensive than you would think, especially these days. So, if you can find somebody who is really into or has maybe played a role in a movie that is close to what you're really after, and get that person to do a commercial for you, really, or even just a 5-second YouTube thing, or anything else that can be or TikTok nowadays.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's crazy how many methods there are out there. Mm-hmm. So that's good. Yeah.
But those influencers, that's basically borrowing the credibility from someone else. So, if you had Sully Sullenberger or Harrison Ford or, anybody who's big in aviation, Buzz Aldrin, any of those guys talk about your product, that's a huge deal. And Mickey, if you had anybody who was a movie star who starred in any of the big military movies, that would probably be fantastic. Even if not really recognizable, people would go, oh yeah, that's that guy. But subconsciously you kind of tie that together as this guy knows a lot about the military, even if he was just an actor in a movie. You don't really think that through. You just, your brain just absorbs it and you carry forward with that. So that's crazy.
Wow. Yeah. I guess I'll have to, it really is like a game of research and like knowing what methods are available to you. That's
right.
Wild.
Exactly. And then interrupt or advertise. This is what we've been doing a lot of with the Facebook ads, where you're actually injecting something into somebody's day, where they wouldn't have ordinarily come across what you do, but they do because you targeted them, by demographics and by location and by, any number of other things, and said, here's a person that I think would be interested in what I have to do or what I have to sell. So I'm going to stick an ad in their scroll as they're scrolling through Facebook. They're going to come across my ad, and I'm going to interrupt what they were doing and make them click on this button and talk to me, because what I'm doing is that important. So it's actually kind of a big ask when you think about it, because they were on Facebook for some other reason besides you. So it has to be a really, really good ad, in order to get them to click on it and make them do what you want, stop what they were doing and do what you want them to do right now.
Right.
So that's
it's frustrating, right? Because as business owners, we always build these things. We build this blog or this letter that we think, we'll send that out into the world, and then we'll have to turn away business because we're just going to be so busy.
Right.
And that is so rarely the case. That's something you see in the movies, but your phone, I mean, for me personally, I haven't had that situation where my phone's ringing off the hook and, I got too many people coming in. So, maybe one day, I'm sure one day you accidentally hit it. Right now I've been reading the Bezos letters, and one of his big things is, you don't have to, if you continually invest in trying to hit a home run, you don't have to hit a home run every time. And so if you hit a home run 1 in a billion times, but that's a billion, that's a ROI of $1 billion, you're breaking even, and that's well worth it to just for the acclaim of hitting that home run. So that's pretty insightful. What else from the book? Those are pretty good. Those 5 methods.
Last one is browse. So the power of being next to something that other people are looking for. So, if you are looking for, and they do this in grocery stores all the time. They put the dip next to the chips. And they put they put a little section of chips and dip next to the beer. And what are people likely to want when they're using my product? So in your case, I'm thinking, a lot of the 18-year-olds who are interested in going into the military love these stores like Cabela's and things like that, where they have the backpacks and the survival gear and the MREs, and it's like they like to go out on the weekends and play with their friends, and do the Army thing.
Yeah.
So if there would be a way that you could get your materials into those stores next to that stuff, where the kids are looking for their fun weekend, and bragging about how they're going to be in the military, that would be an ideal place to put your advertising.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Go to 511 Tactical and try
Yeah.
to get those guys into it. What about aviation wise?
Uh,
Where
well,
that's a big sale. I mean, those things are usually really expensive, right?
oh yeah, and you can do that digitally also. So you could target everybody who likes 511 for a Facebook ad.
It's a good idea.
Everybody who's 11 or 18 to whatever, 20 to 25, that kind of thing. There's a segment of those people that would be your people. So that's another example of that browse proximity principle, right?
Yeah.
So aviation, what's interesting is a lot of times it coincides with Harley Davidson, or it coincides with yachts. You go to a yacht show and you'll find aviation people who are there as well. You go to the NBA shows and you'll see yacht people. You'll see putters, so a lot of golf things. So, it really depends on whether it's a business thing or whether it's a recreation thing. So those all were recreation things. If you're into a business situation, there's a lot of aviation business that is connected to oil and gas. So, those oil and gas folks that are in South Dakota, that are, in the Midwest and things like that, working in those oil fields and other things, or especially in the Gulf of Mexico. So, you can be next to the travel ads for, book your next flight to the Gulf, those kinds of things. And then, oh, by the way, you could be flying there yourself, and oh, by the way, we've got helicopter charters going out to the oil rigs, other kinds of things, so that you can deliver your packages or, whatever. There's a lot of stuff going on that's proximity in terms of aviation as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Right. So probably the last thing I wanted to share from the book is just the copyright and disclaimer. This is the most ridiculous disclaimer I have seen in my life. It says, this book is about practical marketing. While it gives advice on marketing, please understand that any steps you may take in your own business may make your own business better or worse, stronger or weaker, or may even have a catastrophically negative effect on your business. Are the property of their respective owners and used for illustrative purposes only. You get to the first page and you're going, why the heck would I read this book? Okay, well, this is super honest, I mean, that's cool, but dang.
Right. Yeah, a catastrophic effect on your business. That's probably not what people are looking for when they're reading that book. That's probably not the end game.
Exactly. No, I mean, but you think about that and you think, well, that's true of any book that you read. Why do they have to include that? And, and does that make this book more trustworthy or less?
Yeah.
But yeah, you read any book and you apply what it says in a bad way to your life or your business or anything else, you could really mess things up. But, books are powerful, but that was just kind of a stark reminder of, crap, why am I reading this,
That's great. That's great. I like the sincerity, right? In a time where it's all, get the people to buy your stuff, it's pretty rare that you even see somebody pump the brakes until after they have your money, which I guess the book already does. If you're reading that first page, theoretically,
people read a copyright disclaimer anyway, and I just kind of accidentally did. So, I don't usually do that.
Well, yeah. The word catastrophic jumps out of a copyright disclaimer pretty quickly, though. So
it did. That's probably why I read it.
Yeah, that's attention grabbing.
Right.
Well, cool. Cool, cool, cool. It sounds like a great book. I didn't get a chance to read this one, but I want to. I'll have to check it out sometime soon. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
of
pretty.
the ones that we've read, I think this is probably one that's a little bit more relevant for you than some of the others. But I'm really looking forward to. In October, we usually do our survey, and list out all the books that everybody has even thought of, and get everybody to vote on them. So that's always a fun time of year because then we get the list for the next year.
Right. And then we'll see if anybody shows up, right? I mean, these guys they like to recommend books, man. Shoot.
Oh yeah, you should
Do
read
they like
this. And they have no idea, whether they read it or not. So that's fun.
uh
I think everybody kind of gets it passed because it's a holiday week and a lot of people are gone and things are going
that's
on.
true. That's true. That's true.
Right.
Well, cool. Well, I guess we'll just promo out and we're good.
Sounds good.
Cool. So my name is Michael Gaminal. I'm the owner of Gaminal Tutors, where we tutor future military leaders in leadership as well as academically scoring the highest possible score on the ASVAB so that you get the best job that, you get the job of your dreams. If you're signing up to serve your country, you might as well make the most of it because you're going to be in it for a while. And it's a sacrifice no matter how you slice it. So make sure you're sacrificing in the right direction. So Gaminal Tutors for that.
Perfect. And yeah, I mean, it's not a sacrifice at all. I mean, it is a sacrifice no matter what you do for the military. But I think you're doing the military a disservice if you don't get into the right job. Because, if you're wasting your talents in the military as well as wasting your talents anywhere else, then you are not doing the highest and best purpose of your life, no matter how you slice it. So you want to get the best score on the ASVAB you can. You want to get the best job you can. You want to be doing something you want to be doing and that you're good at, because otherwise you're just, what is it called, hiding your light under a bucket and wasting your energy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you're the same level. You got that same empowerment idea. You just want to help people reach their goals, and that's so important. It's such a value for everyone involved. So
yeah, and if you're going to be spending, committing 4 to 6 years of your life, you might as well be doing something you enjoy and that you're good at. So,
yeah.
Right. So I'm Paula Williams, ABCI, and we help aviation companies sell more of their products and services. And we are starting up another aviation sales professional course in October. So if you have an inclination toward sales, or if you don't have an inclination toward sales, but you find yourself needing to make more sales to keep your company afloat, especially in these crazy times, sales skills are becoming more and more helpful, I think, in almost any job. You're selling your ideas or you're selling your concepts, you're having to get people to agree with you, all of that is sales, in my opinion. So every problem is a sales or marketing problem. Fix everything that's wrong with the world if you can do good sales and good marketing.
True that. If people wouldn't be so concerned about I'm wasting money on this, that, and the other thing. If the marketing and sales was done properly, nobody would waste any money. Nobody would ever, come away feeling like they lost out on value. So
right,
that's a really good point.
Helping people make good decisions is not a bad thing.
Cool. You're kicking off another class in October, huh?
Yeah, we're going to kick off another class in October. If we have demand for it, we will. If we don't, we're going to wait until January. So we will see what we end up with.
Do you have people reaching out for you or for it at this point?
We did, and we'll see how serious they are as we get closer to the class start date. It is a pretty rigorous program, so we do want people who are going to stick with it, and because we do have a lot of interaction in that program, so we want people who can depend on each other to finish that together, because you end up being kind of a team as you come out of the other end of this. So it's kind of disruptive to have people drop out, so we're kind of being rough on people at the beginning. And are you sure that you can commit 3 to 5 hours a week for the next 6 weeks? So that's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, but, cool.
Yeah. Anyway, congratulations, and good to see you. And we'll be talking with you again soon.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll talk to you later, Mom.
All right. See ya.
Bye.